Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take source material, really dig into it, and pull out the essential knowledge for you.
Yeah, the goal is to get you informed, maybe even find some surprises without you having to wade through everything yourself.
It's like your shortcut to the really good stuff.
And for this deep dive, we're looking at something pretty specific, but the lessons, they're universal, really. We're getting inside the head of a legend.
A true legend.
Our source is excerpts from How to Sell Anything to Anybody by Joe Girard.
And legend is the right word. I mean, this is the guy the Guinness Book of World Records calls the world's greatest salesman. The numbers alone are just mind-blowing.
Right, like 1,425 cars sold
Yeah.
in 1 year.
And over 13,000 total in his career. That's the all-time record for big-ticket retail sales, averaging 6 sales a day. Just think about that.
It almost doesn't sound real. So, look, our mission here isn't just to, gawk at the records.
No.
We want to go deeper, understand the principles, the actual system, the how behind that success, using his own words from the book.
And what's so interesting listening to him tell it is that he didn't start out with, like, advantages or anything.
Not at all.
He built this from scratch, out of pure necessity, really, from the absolute trenches of day-to-day selling.
Exactly. This isn't some theory cooked up somewhere. This is advice learned the hard way just to bring home a bag of groceries, as he actually puts it.
Yeah, he really makes a point of contrasting himself with the experts who maybe haven't done that belly-to-belly selling just to survive. He had to do it.
He absolutely did.
Okay, so let's get into it. Where do we even start unpacking someone who achieved all that from nothing?
Well, Girard himself starts with the foundation. It's all about attitude forged in the trenches, his core belief. He wasn't born a salesman. He made himself one.
Right, he talks about his background. It wasn't easy, a tough childhood, lots of struggles, even lost a big business, didn't he?
Yeah, a huge home building company, went under. He ended up selling cars out of, well, desperation, pure desperation.
Just to feed his family, literally.
Exactly. And he takes that need, that intense want, and says that is the fuel. You have to want something so badly like that first bag of groceries that it powers everything. Knowing what you want will power your drive. Every action connects back to that basic need.
And he even had physical challenges, like a stutter. That seems like a massive hurdle for a salesman.
A big one, yeah, from childhood.
Yeah.
But he said it forced him to concentrate, to really think before he spoke, speak slowly, and maybe most importantly, to listen. So he kind of turned that disadvantage into an advantage, made him more deliberate, more attentive than maybe someone who found talking easy.
That's a powerful idea right there, turning weakness into strength. So, okay, he's got this intense drive, this self-made discipline. How did he view the actual job, the selling itself?
He saw it almost like a game, or even a war. He called it a bloodless victory.
A bloodless victory.
Yeah, but, and this is key, in a good sale, nobody loses, everybody wins. The customer gets what they need, he makes the sale. And for him, the real kick wasn't just the commission, it was the thrill of victory, making the sale happen.
But it wasn't just about chanting positive things, right? He talked about understanding your wrong attitudes first.
Exactly right. Not blind positivity. It was about looking inward, figuring out where the negative stuff came from, and then actively, consciously working to change it, to turn the disadvantages into advantages, the failures into successes. It's a very hands-on mental process.
That's fascinating. So it all starts internally, the drive, shaping the mindset. How did that then translate to dealing with actual customers, which I guess brings us to understanding the customer beyond the mooch?
Right. And he immediately attacks this really common, really destructive attitude some salespeople have, using the word mooch for customers.
Yeah, like they're just there to waste your time or rip you off.
Exactly. He says that word instantly creates hostility. It poisons the well before you even start.
So what's his counter?
It's simple but profound. The mooch is a human being.
Okay. So why do customers sometimes seem difficult or, scared?
He's actually really understanding about it. He gets it. They're nervous about spending their money, right? It's hard-earned.
Sure.
They're often scared of the salesman, thinking you're trying to put something over on them. He calls it a very competitive world. Maybe they've been burned before?
So he acknowledges that initial interaction can feel like a kind of war. Not because the customer's bad, but because they come in defensive.
Yes, precisely. They walk in feeling like enemies, all guarded, and the salesman can feel like their time is being wasted. He says that initial hostility, that defensiveness, it has to be overcome. You need trust.
Because, like he said before, a good sale is a win for both sides. The customer feels they got what they needed, feels good about spending their time and money.
And that's absolutely crucial for the future. For repeat business, for referrals, a satisfied customer isn't afraid anymore. He says, they aren't mooches when they leave me. They are human beings who aren't afraid of me anymore because we have both won the war of the sale. They become your allies.
Yeah, you can really see how needing every single sale forced him to figure out how to make the customer feel like a winner too, which makes sense for the next part, building your business, taking control. He definitely wasn't just waiting around.
No way. He was strongly against relying only on walk-ins. He called that waiting your turn taking ups the club. He said that's just gambling.
And he didn't like gambling with his work.
Hated it. I don't like to take chances in my work. I make my opportunities. That was his view.
So the whole strategy is about building your own customer stream, getting people to walk in and ask for you.
Exactly. And he says once his system got going, literally 100% of his customers asked for Joe Girard by name. And get this, 60% were repeat buyers or referrals. In the car business.
That's incredible. People don't buy cars that often.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And his approach to building that actively, he used this analogy, spaghetti against the wall.
Huh. Okay, explain that one.
Just keep putting in consistent effort. Throw enough spaghetti, and some of it has got to stick. The idea is just do something productive. Always better than doing nothing. Keep trying things.
I like that. Makes it less intimidating. And he said to remember your own past too, right?
Yeah, remember when you were new and hungry, like he was? You didn't know anyone, nobody to buddy up to. What did you do?
You had to hustle.
Right. You learned the product, you got on the phone, you sent mail, you found things to do.
Yeah.
His point is, don't stop doing those things just because you're established now, just because you're in the club. Keep that initial hunger.
Makes total sense. You have to constantly fill the pipeline, prospecting and staying top of mind. So how did he actually do that day in, day out?
He had a couple of good pictures for it. One was fill the seats on the Ferris wheel. Prospects get on the ride. You engage with them while they're riding. They get off when they buy. And then you want them to get back on again later, repeats, referrals.
I get it. Or like farming.
Exactly. Planting and harvesting. It's a continuous cycle. You're always planting seeds for future sales.
So practically speaking, what seeds was he planting? What methods?
Well, he wasn't above the basics. Even cold calling, like from a phone book. Again, better than sitting around doing nothing.
He tells a story about that, doesn't he?
Yeah, calling him Mrs. Kowalski by mistake. She didn't need a car. But he didn't just hang up. He asked if maybe your husband did, got his name, called Mr. Kowalski later, kept following up, and eventually sold him a car.
Turning a wrong number into a sale, that's serious hustle.
It's not magic, he stresses. Just consistent, focused effort.
What about using people he already knew?
Oh yeah, friends, relatives, obvious ones. But here's one he really hammers home. Your file of paid bills.
The people you buy from.
Exactly. Your butcher, your baker, your insurance agent, whoever. They have to buy stuff too, right? They probably buy cars or know people who do. Sell to them, buy from them, make sure they know what you sell. It's a built-in network.
That's so simple but brilliant. You already have that connection.
Totally. And also just, listening in everyday life. Pay attention when people talk. Someone mentioned a graduation. Maybe they need a car. An accident. Definitely might need a car. People are always talking.
People are always talking about who they know and what they do.
That's the quote. Your job is to be listening and make sure your name and what you sell is part of that conversation network. So you make sure everybody knows you're a salesman and that they know what you sell.
This all feeds into his most famous idea, right? The Girard's Law of 250. What's that about?
Okay, this is central to his whole philosophy. He figured, based on things like how many people show up to average weddings or funerals, that the average person knows and influences about 250 other people.
250? Wow.
Yeah. Think about that. So every single interaction you have with the customer, whether it's good or bad, doesn't just affect that person.
It ripples out.
Massively. It potentially impacts 250 other people through what he called their pulling power. So you absolutely cannot afford to make one person unhappy. The potential damage is huge.
That really changes how you think about every single interaction. So knowing this law of 250, how did he stay visible? Stay top of mind with all those people and their networks? Which brings us to his signature move, the power of connection, direct mail.
Yes, this was absolutely fundamental to his system. He was relentless. And he's stressed. You got to build your own list, name by name. Don't buy generic lists. Your list is a massive asset, a real investment. His grew to thousands. It cost him, but he said it paid back many times over.
And the mailings themselves were legendary for being so simple.
Incredibly simple. He sent cards 12 times a year, every month, a different holiday or occasion each time. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, 4th of July, you name it.
And the message inside never changed, did it?
Never. It was always something like, Happy New Year, I like you, or Happy Valentine's Day, I like you. That's it. Signed, Joe Girard, Morola Chevrolet. No sales pitch, no discount offer, just I like you.
It sounds almost too simple. Like, why would that even work, especially today with all the sophisticated marketing we see?
Well, think about it. You get a pile of mail, bills, junk, right?
Yeah.
Then there's this colorful holiday card. It looks personal. You open it. The message is short, simple, positive. I like you. It stands out. It's unexpected.
Okay, I can see that.
It keeps his name in your house month after month in a pleasant way. Not pushy. Builds a little bit of goodwill. So when you or someone in your 250 network does think about buying a car, whose name comes to mind?
The guy sending the nice cards.
Bingo. He even timed them to arrive mid-month, away from when the bills usually hit. It's a consistent positive touch point, a smart investment, leveraging that law of 250.
That is clever. Consistent, positive, leveraging the network. Okay, another way he leveraged networks was with bird dogs.
Ah, the bird dogs. Yep. These were basically people who'd send prospects his way, and if that prospect bought a car, the bird dog got a reward.
How much was the reward?
In his case, it was $50, cash. Paid right after the sale was confirmed?
$50. That sounds okay, but maybe not life-changing.
Well, remember, this was back then.
Yeah.
And he paid out a lot, like $28,000 a year at his peak. But here's how he looked at it. After taxes, that $50 might only cost him $25 out of pocket. And crucially, it was a cost of sale, not an upfront investment. He only paid if he made the sale.
Ah, okay. That makes it much less risky. It's pure leverage then.
Yeah.
Extends his reach massively. But still, why would someone bother for just $50?
That's the interesting psychology bit.
Yeah.
He found it often wasn't just about the money. People genuinely like helping their friends.
True.
They like steering them to a good deal or a salesman they trust. It makes them look good, feel helpful. It reinforces their own good judgment for knowing Joe Girard in the first place. He said people like to toot their own horn. So asking for referrals and offering the bird dog fee wasn't just a transaction. It was giving people a chance to help a friend and feel important doing it.
That's a really smart way to frame asking for referrals. So who were these bird dogs, typically?
All sorts. He mentions barbers. They hear everything, right? They go around, give them cards, maybe even a little sign for their station, like, ask me about the best car deal in town. Doctors were good, too, knew lots of people. He looked everywhere, his health club, people he bought from regularly. Anyone could be a potential bird dog.
Just constantly planting those seeds, like you said before.
Exactly. And he stressed patience. Just be patient. You've planted the seeds. Just keep on planting. There will be plenty to harvest. That chain reaction of referrals from happy customers and motivated bird dogs just keeps going. That $50 investment could bring in hundreds easily.
Okay, so the system is humming. You've got prospects coming from mail, from bird dogs, from referrals. Now someone is actually standing in front of you. How did he handle the selling encounter, intelligence in the close?
First thing, preparation and planning. He loved that old saying, plan your work and work your plan. Called it the best advice ever. It means you're in command. You have a process. You know the steps. You're not just reacting.
And part of that plan was reviewing his performance.
Every single day. Critically important. He'd look at sales he made, sales he lost. Why did it happen? What could I have done differently? He's clear. His huge volume wasn't because he had some magic closing ratio, some amazing kill rate.
Right.
It was because his system generated a huge prospect rate.
Right.
Lots of people came to see him. If he didn't sell someone, his first question was always about his performance, not blaming the customer.
And his take on qualifying the customer was a bit different too, wasn't it? More than just, can they afford this?
Yeah, he called it espionage and intelligence, like gathering intel. You need to find out three things. What does the customer want to do? What ought they do? Maybe they need a safer car or a bigger one. And what can they afford?
Okay.
But his underlying belief was always, everybody is qualified to buy a car from me. It was his job to figure out how.
Even down to getting their name, he had a specific way.
A subtle touch, yeah. Instead of just demanding, what's your name? He'd stick out his hand and say, hi, my name is Joe Girard. And your name is? Less direct, more conversational. He said it worked every time.
Little things. And he talked about reading the customer.
Paying close attention. Their clothes, the car they drove in, what they mentioned about work or family. These are all clues. Intelligence gathering helps you understand their lifestyle, their interest, maybe their income level. An experienced salesperson, he says, reads them like a book.
So you gather all this intel. When do you shift gears? When do you know it's time to actually try and close the deal?
Pretty simple. When you know what they want and you know what they can afford, that's the signal. Intel phase over. Now it's time for what he called locking them up. The close.
And his approach there, was it high pressure?
He says, don't push too early, but you need to know your want for the sale. Maybe hitting a target, needing that commission, and balance it with a customer's wants you've uncovered. He'd take them to his closed office, calls it the crucial confrontation.
Sounds intense.
Like a surgeon prepping for surgery, he says. But only after you've done the diagnosis, the intelligence gathering. And he used softer language, like, just okay this on the paperwork instead of barking sign here.
And he had this other technique, spot delivery. That one sounds pretty bold.
It was definitely bold. The core idea, get the product in the customer's hands right now if you possibly can.
So for a car, maybe they wanted silver, but you have a blue one ready.
Exactly. If the blue one on the lot fits their needs and budget, focus on getting them to drive that one away today.
Why? Instead of just ordering the silver.
Because letting them drive away now overcomes inertia. It overcomes fear. It leaves no time for second thoughts, or for a competitor to call them, or for life to just get in the way. Suddenly they plan a trip or have a family issue. Anything that could kill the deal later.
Get it done now.
Right. The specific color, a minor feature, becomes less important than getting them into a good car at a good price right now. Make the deal real immediately. He said this applies elsewhere too. A tailor should chalk the suit right away. A TV store should deliver and set up the TV that night.
Make it tangible, get them using it. And through all this negotiation and closing, he insisted on honesty.
Absolutely vital, especially with the financial side. The price, the financing, the payments. Total transparency was key to building trust. His reputation depended on people feeling he was straight with them, explaining everything clearly. You just can't sustain that kind of volume and referral business if people think you're shady.
Which brings us neatly to what happens after the handshake. Beyond the sale. Trust and the after-sale relationship. Because the deal isn't really the end point, is it?
No, not even close. He says the real proof of trust is whether the customer regrets buying from you later. You have to build trust that lasts.
How did he manage that, selling so many cars?
Several ways. One was just his reputation for fair deals. Because he sold so many, he could afford to work on thinner margins. Another was customers actually bragging about the deal they got.
Oh, yeah?
He found customers would often shave a few bucks off the price they actually paid when telling their friends, just to sound even smarter.
Yeah.
Which worked in his favor. And it's generally making friends with customers. But the absolute most critical part, especially with cars, was handling service problems.
The inevitable issues.
Exactly. He didn't run from complaints. He saw them as opportunities. He'd put in the effort, go the extra mile to turn a lemon into a peach, as he put it.
That sounds like a lot of work, dealing with problems.
It was. But it was a crucial investment. When you fix someone's problem and fix it well, they become incredibly loyal. And they tell people, remember the law of 250.
Right. A problem solved well is a powerful story.
Immensely powerful. That commitment to service after the sale was maybe the strongest engine for referrals and repeat business.
So it wasn't just the I like you cards, it was being there when things went wrong too.
That's it. He mentions other things, like sending thank you notes, sure. But the foundation was trust, built through fair deals and excellent follow-up service. That creates, in his words, the most valuable asset in the selling business. A customer who trusts you because you helped him get what he needed and wanted.
Okay, building all this, the mailings, the bird dogs, the service follow-up, managing that volume, it sounds like it must have cost a lot and taken incredible energy. How did he sustain it?
That brings us to the final piece we should cover, leverage and continuous growth. Girard absolutely understood that old saying, you have to spend money to make money.
The mailings, the bird dog fees.
Yeah, they weren't free, but he saw them as business investments. Just like any business, you're deciding what are the best ways to spend money to get the most money back. And time was a huge part of that calculation too.
And a key way he leveraged his time was by hiring help.
Yes, he called them his arms and legs. He paid other people to do the more routine tasks that took up his valuable selling time.
Like what kind of tasks?
Things like maybe the initial qualifying of a prospect, showing cars out on the lot, handling the trade and appraisal, even doing the test drives sometimes.
All to free him up to
To
do.
focus on the highest value activity, the thing he did best, where the deal actually happened. He called that the surgery.
The surgery. I like that.
He built this team gradually, paid for the help out of the extra income they helped him generate by increasing his volume.
So the leverage wasn't just about working harder himself, it was multiplying his effort through others, working smarter.
Totally. It
Yeah.
boosted his volume and his net income. He even quotes his accountant pointing out that, hey, after taxes, paying someone $50 might only cost you $25. He argued any salesperson making decent money could afford help, and he knew he couldn't keep breaking records without it.
So focusing on the surgery, the part he loved and excelled at was key for growth, but also for, well, enjoying the job.
Absolutely. Selling is my joy and money is my reward, he says. It was about efficiency, yes, but also about maximizing his impact, doing what he was best at, and always improving, always looking for better ways. That was essential R&D, because the competition never sleeps.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, Joe Girard's story, his system, it really wasn't about being some kind of magical born salesman, was it?
Not in the slightest.
Yeah.
That's his whole point. It came from, well, relentless hard work, yes, but also a very practical, repeatable system.
Yeah.
Focus on consistent prospecting, building real relationships based on trust and care, or at least the perception of it, always learning, and then strategically leveraging his time and money.
It's such a powerful story, especially, like we said, coming from someone who started with so many disadvantages. It wasn't magic, it was process.
A very human-focused process. And he truly believed, if he could do it starting from zero, needing grocery money, over